Well, the last couple of months in the markets have certainly been a roller coaster. And now that things have begun to steady for a moment, I think it's time to ponder the question, what kind of ride do I want my portfolio to take moving forward? Markets peaked on February 19th, and then we went into this pandemic. We saw the most rapid decline over a 3-week time frame in the US stock market, basically in history. Now, since that time, we've had a nice recovery. Now, whether or not that's been based off of anything fundamental in the economy, who's to say? But right now we're sitting at a point that the markets have truly steadied. And for this moment, I've been having a lot of great conversations with clients around what do we want the portfolio to look like going forward. Some people have taken the idea of I'm going to bury my head in the sand and just not look at my statement over the last few months. Others have taken a different approach and let the emotions take over, and we've really had to have some conversations around why might not be the best time to sell at the bottom. But now that things, as I said, have steadied, it's a great opportunity to pull back and determine, why is my portfolio built the way it is? What kind of experience do I want to see moving forward? And how am I going to gauge really if the portfolio is doing what I want it to do? Tim mentioned in last week's commentary the idea of the LIVE methodology, which has been brought up numerous times before. Liquidity, income, volatility, and expected rate of return. Now, in a perfect world, we would be able to achieve all 4 of those within a portfolio, but that's not reality. And we've been blessed over the last 10 years to have markets that have been extremely steady. And I think for a lot of investors, that's given them a sense of confidence that maybe I can take a little more risk or be a little more aggressive maybe than I was comfortable with in order to achieve that return. Now that we've had this market pullback and things have steadied, it's time to readdress, what do we want the portfolio to look like moving forward? And what are the most important components that we need to achieve within our investments to get us to our long-term goals? Now, most of the time when you see me on one of these videos, we're probably going to talk a little bit about financial planning, and today is no different. So looking at the idea of what does my plan tell us that we need to achieve within the portfolio in order to reach my goals may give us some insight into whether or not we should start reducing risk in the portfolio. Maybe you are comfortable with the type of volatility that this market has created, knowing that long term you're still on path to achieve those goals. There's no right or wrong answer, but it does need to start with the question of, what do I want to experience moving forward? So when we think about that idea of revisiting the plan, getting some insight into truly what your risk tolerance is within your portfolio in order to build the appropriate allocation going forward, that really leads into what are the 5 things that we can control in our financial lives. And we've discussed this at length in previous commentaries, but just to reiterate, those 5 things are: how much are we spending? How much are we saving? The timing of certain events like retirement, large purchases, the risk that we're taking in the portfolio and in other areas of our financial lives, and legacy. What is this for long term? If we can really identify those 5 components and focus a little less on what has the market done over the last week or the last month, even though we know that weighs heavily on our emotions, that'll allow us to focus in truly on what do we need to achieve from these investments and what are they meant to do, and focus more of our time and attention truly on how much risk are we willing to take, knowing that that is a component that we can control. We can't control what the markets are going to do tomorrow or next week. Shoot, the way markets have recovered, I think some people think they're just going to keep going up forever. I, on the other hand, and a lot of other analysts think that we may still experience some volatility through the rest of this pandemic. But regardless of who's right or wrong, we can't control what the markets are going to do, but we can control that risk. And in order to control that risk, we have to understand what we need from our portfolio and also what we need from our financial plan. So if you haven't addressed that recently, it may be a great time to sit down, with one of us here at 10 Capital and really start to think through, what kind of ride do I want my portfolio to experience moving forward, and how does that fit into my long-term financial plan? Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you soon.